Imagine this, you are managing a high-stakes IT project, maybe for a major financial institution or a healthcare provider. The project involves sensitive data, and you're working against tight deadlines. But then, you get the call every project manager dreads. There's been a data breach. Sensitive information has leaked, and now, not only is your project at risk, but your client's trust, and even the company's reputation, are on the line. Cybersecurity threats like these can strike at any time, yet they're often overlooked in the rush to deliver on time. Today, we're exploring how to protect your IT projects from cybersecurity threats with essential, actionable strategies that keep both your data and reputation safe. Hello everyone, and welcome back to NxtChair. If this is your first time here, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, so you never miss out on vital insights like these. Today's topic is one that has become crucial in the world of IT project management: mitigating cybersecurity threats. Whether you are a project manager, developer, or tech enthusiast, the strategies we'll discuss today can be the difference between a successful project and a major security incident. Cybersecurity threats can feel distant and hypothetical until they strike. But in IT projects, the risks are real and demand attention. Throughout this video, we'll use the story of a project manager named Sarah to illustrate the different stages of a project, the cybersecurity risks that emerge at each stage, and how to effectively manage those risks. Think of this as a journey through an IT project, focusing on the steps Sarah took to avoid common cybersecurity pitfalls. Starting with a strong foundation, risk assessment and early planning. At the beginning of her project, Sarah was excited to dive right into development. She was working on a sensitive healthcare app that stored patient information, which meant there were strict security standards to follow. But like many project managers, Sarah initially overlooked the importance of a detailed risk assessment, which ended up costing her later. After facing a close call with a minor data breach, Sarah learned that the first step to a secure project is to conduct a thorough risk assessment. In her case, this involved identifying every point where sensitive data was handled, accessed, or stored. With a comprehensive risk assessment, she could pinpoint potential vulnerabilities. Technical note: a risk assessment involves listing all components of your project and identifying any potential weak points. For example, if your IT project involves handling user data, the storage database becomes a high-risk area. Sarah consulted with cybersecurity experts who helped her understand risks specific to healthcare data, such as HIPAA compliance, encryption needs, and authentication protocols. Sarah's team created a security roadmap for the project, ensuring cybersecurity was baked in from the beginning rather than added as an afterthought. They decided that every new feature would pass through a security check, verifying that no new vulnerabilities were introduced. If you're finding this journey through Sarah's project helpful, make sure to hit the like button and share it with your team. Let's make secure projects a priority for everyone. Building cybersecurity into development. Secure coding practices. Once Sarah had a solid risk assessment in place, her team moved into the development phase. This is where cybersecurity threats become very real, as insecure code can lead to a range of vulnerabilities. Sarah learned that even a small coding error, like improper input validation, could expose her entire project to threats like SQL injection attacks or buffer overflows. To mitigate these risks, Sarah's team adopted secure coding practices. They established strict rules for developers, such as validating all inputs, encoding output, and encrypting sensitive data. One of the most significant changes Sarah implemented was setting up a code review system focused on security. Technical note: secure coding practices include techniques like parameterized queries to prevent SQL injection and sanitizing inputs to avoid cross-site scripting (XSS) attacks. For example, instead of directly placing user input into SQL queries, which could open up SQL injection vulnerabilities, Sarah's team used parameterized queries, where user data is handled as variables rather than raw SQL. Additionally, they used libraries that automatically encode any user-generated content, reducing the risk of XSS attacks. Sarah's team also used automated static analysis tools, which scan code for vulnerabilities as it's written. This way, they could catch potential issues early without slowing down development. With secure coding practices in place, Sarah's team was feeling confident, but they knew they needed more than just secure code to keep the project safe. Multi-layered security measures, firewalls, encryption, and authentication. Sarah knew that no single security measure could protect her project entirely. So, she adopted a multi-layered security approach, combining various measures to create multiple barriers for attackers. Think of it as building layers around the core of her project, each layer providing additional protection. One of the first layers was a robust firewall. Firewalls act as the first line of defense, blocking unauthorized access to the network. Sarah's team also implemented strong encryption protocols for any data being stored or transmitted. Technical note: in Sarah's project, they used ACE, Advanced Encryption Standard, for data storage and TLS, Transport Layer Security, for data transmitted over the network. AES encryption helps ensure that, even if an attacker gains access to the database, the information inside remains unreadable without the decryption key. TLS protects data in transit, like patient records sent from the app to the server, by creating a secure channel that prevents interception. For authentication, Sarah's team decided to implement multi-factor authentication, MFA, for all users accessing the system. Instead of relying solely on passwords, which can be compromised, MFA requires an additional verification method, like a code sent to the user's phone or a fingerprint scan. Quick reminder: don't forget to subscribe if these insights are helping you understand how to secure your IT projects. We cover these kinds of critical security tips every week. Employee training, building awareness of security protocols. One area that many teams overlook is employee training. Sarah knew her project would only be as secure as her team was knowledgeable. After all, human error is one of the most common causes of security breaches. A simple mistake, like clicking a phishing link, can create a massive vulnerability. Sarah held training sessions to ensure her team understood the basics of cybersecurity. They learned how to recognize phishing attempts, handle sensitive data securely, and follow best practices for accessing the project systems. Technical note: during training, Sarah's team practiced identifying phishing emails, suspicious links, unexpected attachments, or unusual sender addresses. They also covered secure password practices, such as using long, unique passwords for different accounts and never reusing passwords across multiple platforms. Sarah provided tools, like password managers, to help her team maintain strong, unique passwords without sacrificing convenience. By empowering her team with knowledge, Sarah reduced the likelihood of accidental breaches. Now that Sarah's team had robust defenses, the next step was to prepare for the worst-case scenario. What if a threat still managed to get through? Incident response planning, preparing for breaches. Despite all precautions, Sarah understood that no system is completely immune to attacks. So, she and her team developed an incident response plan. This was a clear, step-by-step guide on what to do if a breach occurred, ensuring that they could react quickly and contain the threat. Sarah's team created a playbook, detailing who to contact, what actions to take, and how to communicate with stakeholders if an incident occurred. They ran simulated breach scenarios, practicing their response to make sure they'd be prepared if a real threat emerged. Technical note: in their incident response plan, Sarah's team outlined procedures for isolating compromised systems to prevent the breach from spreading. They also included steps for analyzing logs to trace the source of the breach and techniques for removing the threat from their environment. By preparing this plan in advance, Sarah's team could minimize damage and reduce the time needed to get the project back on track. Having a response plan is essential because it shifts the focus from panic to action in the event of a real attack. Sarah's team knew what to do and who was responsible for each step, which meant they could act fast and limit the impact of any security breach. With a response plan in place, Sarah's project was secure, but she knew that cybersecurity is never a one-time task. It requires ongoing vigilance. Continuous monitoring and improvement. Staying ahead of threats. Cybersecurity threats evolve quickly, so Sarah made continuous monitoring and improvement part of her project's ongoing maintenance. Her team set up a monitoring system to detect suspicious activity in real time. They also scheduled regular security audits to identify any new vulnerabilities as the project progressed. Technical note: continuous monitoring tools, like intrusion detection systems, IDs, and security information and event management (SIEM) systems, helped Sarah's team watch for unusual activity. For example, an IDs could alert them to unexpected traffic patterns, indicating a potential attempt to breach the network. SIEM tools aggregate log data from across the project, helping to identify patterns that might signal a threat. Sarah's team also conducted regular penetration testing, where they hired ethical hackers to try and breach the system. These tests revealed weak points that they could fix before real attackers discovered them. If these tips have been helpful, please hit that like button, share this video with your team, and don't forget to subscribe for more strategies on keeping your IT project safe and secure. Conclusion: in the end, Sarah transformed her project from being at risk to becoming a model of cybersecurity. By conducting an initial risk assessment, following secure coding practices, implementing multi-layered defenses, training her team, developing an incident response plan, and continuously monitoring the system, she safeguarded her project from potential cybersecurity threats. The story of Sarah's project shows us that cybersecurity isn't just about technology, it's about foresight, planning, and a commitment to ongoing improvement. With these strategies, you can protect your IT projects from threats and set yourself up for long-term success. Thanks for watching. Remember, cybersecurity is an essential part of every IT project. Stay vigilant, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next video.